Okay, so inquiring orchid minds want to know, how has the wintering process for me and my orchids? How have we been doing? Well, to be honest with you folks, it hasn't been going so well. And if I can be absolutely honest with you, oh my. Some of my orchids have been suffering tremendously due to such cold weather here. And we are receiving temperatures as of right now between, I would say, 60, 50 degrees and sometimes 40 degrees as well. And some of my warm loving orchids are not appreciating the weather at all. And I definitely want to show you just what an awful effect it had on my Vanda Carousel orchid, which you guys know I recently did a Orchid Cage project on this. And as you can see, oh my, it just has had a devastating effect on this orchid. And I'm definitely hoping that I can save this beautiful little gal. I've never even gotten a bloom from her. So to see her in this condition, oh my, it makes me want to just wipe the tears from my eyes, folks. Like, boo-hoo, for real-o. I'm so sad. Now, of course, there are some orchids that are carrying on like nobody's business, as in this Phalaenopsis right here, just continuing to produce their blossoms. And soon and very soon, we will see some lovely, beautiful, fragrant cluster of these Phalaenopsis blooms. Indeed, there are some that seem to care less about the cold, but you know what, guys? I care about the cold, and I cannot bear to lose any of these orchids. Now, of course, there are some orchids that actually need the cold, such as my Dendrobium nobilis, and you can see that they are beginning to produce some flower buds right here. And also, if we take a look down there throughout the stem, you are noticing that the buds are beginning to form. And this right here, folks, has got to be the most extreme shocker of all in my garden, because this is my Maxillaria tenuifolia that in the beginning, if you remember correctly, we did such an extreme propagation and also a repotting on this orchid in effort to rescue and save and allow this orchid to grow and prosper. And as you guys can see now, folks, this has been an absolute tremendous success story right here, because every segment that I cut of this Maxillaria tenuifolia was indeed successful in growing several bulbs right here. Bulb after bulb after bulb, and throughout the plant as well. So indeed, bravo to this plant. And then here's the kicker, is indeed the fact that this Maxillaria tenuifolia right here has shown no kind of sign at all in regards to just really getting some effects from the cold weather. Not any signs at all. So indeed, quite a hardy little fella right here. But of course, folks, I am going to be taking him indoors because he is so charming and I cannot bear to lose such a coconutty orchid. So as you can see, folks, there's been quite a difference in this tree right here. Now, if you guys remember correctly, this tree was just adorned with all sorts of orchids here, there, and everywhere. You really couldn't barely see the tree at all. So I've already started transitioning some of my orchids into the home realm. And in an actual reality, it's in our bathroom. So we're having like a jungle of a bathroom. To say it mildly, it is quite a mess, folks. But hey, you gotta do what you gotta do, right? For the love of orchids, man. So yes, indeed, to avoid further damage of my orchids, that is my plan, is to find some way, somehow, to keep them safe and sound over the wintering process. So you guys wish me luck, please. Okay, folks, and here we are. Of course, I had to show you the other side of the quite crazy story. Here we are in my jungle of a bathroom. quite a crazy, horrendous mess of orchids in my bathroom. Don't even ask me how I am capable of doing this. I have a good, I want to say maybe about 80 orchids in here right now. And I still have several orchids outside to bring indoors. I probably have only about 25% of my orchids in here now. And I moved the ones that I really believed were most susceptible to the cold weather and the ones that really did start to show some considerable signs of damage due to the cold weather. And of course, the ones that were in bloom, I could not bear to not be capable of enjoying the blooms as well. So, you know, they had to come inside with me. So indeed, folks, a rub-a-dub-dub in my orchid tub. Like, oh my. And excuse the toes. And as we move up here, folks, yeah, just orchids everywhere. Now, I do have to tell you that I've been pleasantly surprised with my Vandas, of which I have majority of my Vandas indoors now. I only have a good 4, I think, still outdoors. But folks, as you can see here, my Vandas are spiking again, and I'm just so absolutely surprised because they were just in bloom not too long ago. I mean, it seems like my Vandas are either constantly in spike or in bloom, and I definitely cannot complain. And here's another one over there, also in spike. And this one right here, my Vanda Cindy Banks, if you take a look, is also in spike as well. And I have one more somewhere in spike. Oh, there you are, right there. You little sneaky spiker. Right there, folks. I don't know if you can see, it's like underneath all of my Vandas. So yeah, that one is indeed in spike as well. And along with my Vandas, you can see that I have collected a lot of species or primary hybrid phals. So I have them also here with me, and they're doing quite well. And loving the fact that I decided not to leave them outdoors to freeze to death. And folks, I really have to say that this tomato cage, or what I call an orchid cage, has really been so tremendous in the fact of having a place to store and hang all of my orchids, especially more of my miniature ones, my Vandas from Moats, and also a lot of my miniature Vandaceous orchids that I've ordered online. I mean, this has been absolutely wonderful. It just gives me a whole lot of space to hang all of my orchids. And these right here are actually the prongs at the bottom that you would insert into the soil or the pot. And as you can see, I've also managed to make it to where those are usable space as well in the fact of hanging your plants. I've actually just bent them to the point where I can hang my orchid hooks. And as you guys know, in my Space Saver video, I also talked about my little Vanda Carousel that I like to make. And this is just one hook, and I've attached several of the miniature little mesh pots onto them with the Vandas inserted inside of them, of course. And there you have, folks, the Vanda Carousel. So easy to transport. And then also alongside of this orchid cage that I now use, you can actually lift this up, just as long as you're very careful, but you can move this all at one time. And you're talking about like maybe 40, 50 orchids on this right here, moved all at one time. So indeed, this has been just such a benefit to me, especially when I decide to take my orchids out, because I do like them to get fresh air and sun, and I like to water them thoroughly. So when the weather is good enough for me to do that, that's exactly what I do. But in the meantime, what I've done, folks, since they are in my bathroom, I actually give them showers. And I'm giving them showers perhaps like every other day. I try to give them every day, but you guys know how that can be, and especially how tedious it can be when I have so many huge Vandas And all I do is I take them all at one time, about like 4 or maybe 5 of them, and I bring them into my shower and I give them a good shower spray down. So indeed, I am keeping them happy and they've been managing to survive thus far. But I will have to say it's been a whole lot of work, and I tell you what, spring and summer just can't come soon enough. And folks, I know you guys love your orchids just as much as I do. So indeed, for the love of orchids, we indeed have to find a way. If there is a will, there is a way. And I'm going to leave you with that, folks, for the love of orchids. I thank you guys so much for tuning in to yet another episode of my orchid adventure. And if you guys like this video, I would like to ask you guys to give it a thumbs up. And if you guys want to follow me on Facebook, you can also do that as well at My Orchid Adventures right on Facebook. And if you want to stay tuned to my latest and greatest orchid adventures, please be sure to subscribe. Also, if you guys want to contact me via snail mail, you can do that as well at the following address right here. Again, I thank you guys so much for tuning in, and as you guys already know, I love you all. Mwah. And oopsie daisies, folks, or shall I say oopsie orchids, I completely forgot all about this first time bloomer right here, and she indeed was very, very upset because she wanted her spotlight, her time to shine. So indeed, I'm going to tell you all about her now. And this beautiful gal right here is a Phalaenopsis tetraspis classic moonbeam, crossed with a Kerno Cervi variable chatelaide, orchid classic ruby, indeed a mouthful, and let me catch my breath. Yes, indeed, quite a beautiful gal right here, and I was quite delighted to find her over the weekend at the Miami Orchid Festival. Indeed, had quite a blast, and I came home with such a beautiful gal. So I just wanted to share her with you. Again, she would not let me sleep if I didn't. So thank you for being patient and viewing this beautiful gal right here.